Hello guys, a very good morning. Today in this video we'll be learning about differences between corruptible and corrupt and how a person moves from corruptibility and he gets indulged into corruption. If we see, every person is not corrupt but every person is corruptible, which changes to corruption with temptation and hardship. The degree of corruptibility in every person varies. Now, we'll try to understand why corruption is not a singular phenomenon. Now, if we take the example of doctor, now that doctor has a tendency to maximize his welfare, and that is present in every human being. The problem begins with Pareto optimality, that is maximizing your welfare at the cost of other, right? So that doctor indulges in practices such as organ trading, that doctor indulges in practices such as unwanted tests which are not required but still are done. Now these tests are taken because there are weak standard in the hospital, there are poor work culture, and because of the lack of standard operating procedure and weak standards, the loopholes are found by the doctors so that he can take unwanted tests and amass lots of money. And if we see the institution, that hospital, that particular big chain of hospital, it's a part of society. And because the society has low will, because there is no or very less consensus in society, and they tolerate the corruption, this institution keeps on going and keeps on making weak standards so that doctors find the loopholes, not amending their weak standards. And if we see the society is the collection of n number of individuals. And if the individuals have a weak moral character, their tendency of corruptibility will increase. They will have less they will have less consensus, and they will tolerate the corruption. They will themselves indulge in corruption, setting a poor work culture, hence indulging in amassing or maximizing their welfare. Hence, this proves that corruption is a complex, multi-dimensional phenomenon. If any one of the person in society would have questioned this doctor, what are the uses of these tests? What are these why are these standards not so strong, right? So the corruption would have stopped at that particular point of time. If the institutional standards would have very strong, the corruption would have stopped at that particular point of time. If the individual source would have a very strong moral character of gaining wealth honestly and not at the cost of others, not making others poor, the corruption would have stopped at that very point of time. So it's a multi-dimensional involving many stakeholders. Hence, corruption is complex, it's multi-dimensional phenomenon, and it has four sources: the economic source, institutional source, societal source, and individual source, right? So that's all. Thank you.